Nigeria commits to work with Cameroon in order to strengthen border security, but has reservations as far as the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon is concerned. It is in the context of the Border Security or Trans-Border Security Committee session that is currently taking place in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, noted that Cameroon and Nigeria shares the over 3,188 miles of land border, and some two guys who raped and killed a young lady in the city of Douala are now in the hands of the forces of law and order. They are to face justice. Those are our top stories. Welcome to the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on EQUINOXE television. Cameroon-Nigeria Trans-Border Security Committee session is ongoing in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, brought together security experts from both countries. Or speaking at the start of the said event, the leader of the Nigerian committee in Yaoundé says Nigeria is more than ever committed to work with Cameroon to ensure border security within the context of the fight against Boko Haram in the northern regions of Cameroon, but will prefer to monitor developments in the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, both regions bordering the Federal Republic of Nigeria. More in the following report. Cameroon and Nigeria are determined to reinforce border security at a time when the over 3,188 miles historic land boundary between the both countries is facing multiple security challenges. Nigeria says it is more than ever before committed to strengthen border security in order to eradicate Boko Haram in the northern parts of Cameroon, but has some reservations as concerns the fight against separatists in the northwest and southwest regions.
We will therefore continue to support the commitment of the Republic of Cameroon to strengthen stability along our common borders with a view to establishing effective monitoring and response mechanisms. We will continue to monitor the activities in southeastern Cameroon and encourage the Cameroonian authorities to continue to engage all aggrieved parties in a constructive manner to de-escalate tensions in the Anglophone regions.
These and other key declarations featured out of the ongoing seat session of the Cameroon-Nigeria Trans-Border Security Committee in Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé.
It is clear today that the Cameroon-Nigeria Trans-Border Security Committee is facing huge challenges.
This Trans-Border Security meeting is coming at a timely moment, considering the collective efforts and determination by both our presidents to maintain peace and stability in the two countries in particular and the sub-region in general.
Challenges which, according to Cameroon, calls for vigilance.
Our two countries need to be more vigilant and proactive because the above-mentioned security challenges require regular consultations. These threats take the following forms: secessionist tendencies, illegal exploitation of natural resources, conflicts between border communities, highway robbery, drug and human trafficking, illicit trafficking of firearms, agro-pastoral conflicts, etc.
A context in which Nigeria commits to work together with Cameroon to solve, especially considering the assistance they receive from Cameroon in the fight against Boko Haram.
It is also instructive that I appreciate the support of the Cameroonian authorities in the ongoing transnational counterterrorism campaign by being part of the multinational joint task force. We look forward to enhancing this collaboration,
but prefers to rather monitor activities in Anglophone Cameroon.
We will continue to monitor the activities in southeastern Cameroon and encourage the Cameroonian authorities to continue to engage all aggrieved parties in a constructive manner to de-escalate tensions in the Anglophone regions.
Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, without coming back to the call of Nigeria, urged experts to make good use of the session.
Experts should use this session to identify and propose to both governments appropriate measures to reestablish peace and security along the threatened common borders.
Cameroon and Nigeria share a long and historic border, which experts say must be carefully managed with regards to security concerns. And Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, Paula Tanganji, in the course of this very session, which is in its 7th edition, says there is a time for no tolerance or for zero tolerance with regards to crimes committed both by Cameroonians and Nigerians security men across the Cameroon-Nigerian border. He reiterated this on day 2, that is today, of the 7th session of the Cameroon and Nigeria border security session, speaking that is to both governments, notably the governments of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and that's of the Republic of Cameroon. He says the regions along the border, nobody will commit crimes again or crimes against humanity or any crimes by forces of law and order on the defense and security forces, both of Cameroon and Nigeria, especially within the context of the fight to restore security along the long Nigeria-Cameroon border. With more on that, we propose to you an excerpt of Minister Paula Tanganji.
The security situation along our common borders, which started witnessing a great improvement, has all of a sudden become a cause for concern. It is therefore very clear today that the Cameroon-Nigeria Transborder Security Committee is facing huge challenges. As we can see, our two countries need to be more vigilant and proactive, because the above-mentioned security challenges require regular consultations. These threats take the following forms: secessionist tendencies, illegal exploitation of natural resources, conflicts between border communities, highway robbery, drug and human trafficking, illicit trafficking of firearms, agro-pastoral conflicts, etc. It is against this backdrop that I call on the experts to do their best to come up with pertinent operational recommendations that will be of great interest to our two countries. But prior to that, it will be necessary to assess the implementation of the recommendations of our last session held on the 5th and 6th of February in Abuja, 2018. Without any intention to anticipate on the experts' findings, I must admit that though several initiatives have been taken into consideration, most of our resolutions and recommendations are not yet moving, so we still have much to do. I therefore urge the experts to work hard and make innovative and concrete suggestions. That is, experts should use this session to identify and propose to both governments appropriate measures to reestablish peace and security along the threatened common borders. Specifically, they have to take stock of the security situation along the common borders since the holding of the last session, summarize and evaluate bilateral measures as well as sub-regional, regional, and international initiatives focused at ending terrorist activities, identify and propose measures that can reinforce confidence amongst the key security stakeholders, reinforce collaboration between the borders authorities of both nations, reinforce the fight against Boko Haram, which has to be eradicated in all its forms. On the sideline of this above-mentioned workshop, governors from Cameroon's administrative regions and federal states of Nigeria will meet in their usual forum to examine issues of common interest.
Minister Tanganji, that is Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration. It should be noted that he was speaking to governors of both regions bordering Nigeria and Cameroon, and equally those of states in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, bordering Cameroon. And we stay with security to talk about the B elements who are stationed in the Indian division of the southwest region of Cameroon. They've been called to maintain the mission for which they were sent to that part of the country. The call was made by the senior divisional officer for the Indian division, who reiterated that their mission to the Indian division is for the territorial integrity of Cameroon and they must do everything to protect it. He was speaking during the Epaulettes Award ceremony that took place in the Indian divisional chief town of Mundemba. Derek Jato fighting the following report from the southwest region of Cameroon.
They are predominantly elements of the Rapid Intervention Battalion stationed in Jabane, an island of Bakassi, Indian Division, an oil-rich zone sharing border with Nigeria. And today they are being reminded of their mission for the nation's territorial integrity.
Parce que la mission qui nous appartient n'est pas la mission du combi Delta, c'est la mission de chacun.
Note that the mission here is not only that of B Delta, but of each and every one of us. A commander tells his element.
Donc, à chaque moment, chers camarades,
and you must remain determined and steadfast. He adds,
je vous prie de faire uniquement et uniquement votre travail.
And Mr. Fowang Lawrence, the senior divisional officer for Indian Division, sailed to this part of his division to officiate the Epaulette Award ceremony, an award of medals to these elements of security and defense forces.
Having invited me to come and preside over this award ceremony. But beyond that, you realize yourself that before the ceremony proper, two violent Cameroonians serving our nations were given medals by His Excellency President Povia. I'm thinking of Colonel Combi Data, Colonel Tuang, and one chef de squadron who was among them.
Now promoted to higher ranks.
Je remercie une fois de plus le haut commandement. I'm very happy.
The Anglophone crisis and the bed of armed groups is another bone in the neck of these security forces today.
Et aussi, permettez-moi de demander aux jeunes Camerounaises et jeunes Camerounais égarés qui ont pris les armes sans fondement.
Reason why the senior divisional officer for Indian Division did not hesitate to again call on those who have taken arms against the state to drop them and come home.
Son Excellence Phobia a ouvert les mains. Ils peuvent venir déposer leurs armes auprès des autorités administratives.
And two suspected murderers have been apprehended by the forces of law and order in the nation's economic capital, Douala. They are suspected of the murder of a 30-year-old lady who came to the city of Douala from holidays from the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Immaculate Fogwe tells us more.
Baik Jebai Clement, 27-year-old, and Tage Gislen, 26-year-old, were presented to the people of the Douala 3 municipality as individuals who kidnapped, raped, and killed a certain Mikwango Yakam George Jose, 30 years old, on the 24th of April 2019. Family members say the late Mikwango Yakim Jose was on a short visit in the city of Douala, coming from Yaoundé.
De résidence habituelle à Yaoundé.
My elder sister is living in Yaoundé. On the 14th of February 2019, she lost her 4-year-old child. So, I asked her to come over to Douala so she could change her environment. On the 24th of April 2019, after we had supper, she and her elder sister decided to go purchase soya and later came back home. Later on, she complained of the fact that places were very hot and wanted to have a stroll. Few minutes later, we tried getting to her to get information about her whereabouts, but her phone was not going through. I and my sisters decided to search for her in some areas we had taken her to, but couldn't still find her.
And in the following report, we look at the activities of experts of the economic community of the Central African sub-region, that is CEMAC. They are currently in a session in the nation's economic capital, Douala. Hemine Luga takes a look on that.
It seems subtle, but it remains critical. Cameroon has been faced with doubts as to whether it has sufficient foreign exchange reserves to maintain the country's
We don't want
fixed
currencies to be
rate.
in the market out
Experts
of
have
official
questioned the
channels.
reasons for such
Money
currency
circulating in the
crisis, a
hands of
situation which
people
has
who
led
are
to
not on trade
restrictions put
register
in
can
place by
favor
the new
terrorism
exchange
and
legislations
money
of
laundering.
the Bank
So
of Central
the new
African
exchange
States.
legislation takes into account the financing of terrorism and money laundering.
Si vous prenez à la banque, c'est au taux normal. L'argent qui reste dans les quartiers avec des gens qui ne sont même pas reconnus dans le registre des commerces, qui brassent des milliards comme ça en CFA, cet argent qui est utilisé, on ne sait même pas où va. Quelqu'un a dit cet après-midi, si je crois le président. On a ça au Cameroun, on a ça au Tchad.
With new measures taken to address the situation, banks are henceforth expected to purchase currencies without the authorization of the Bank of Central African States.
The banks have the possibility to freely buy the currencies and sell them to exchange institutions. That is authorized, but what is prohibited is the acquisition of currencies without the authorization of BIAD. It is henceforth impossible.
Questioned on the negative impact of the new exchange legislations, the governor of the Bank of Central African States reiterates the reforms would rather have productive results on economies of the sub-region.
The new exchange legislations are pertinent. They are not paralyzing the economies. They take into account evolutions over 18 years. The results are there. They have many problems with banks. In some cases, the companies have refused working with some banks for compliance reasons. In other cases, there have been delays on credit deadline. Some banks have limited the rates of daily money transfer given to some of its financial institutions.
Also adding up to these, Cameroon faces difficulties of external money transfer, with reasons being
ils ont des problèmes de plusieurs natures avec les banques. Dans certains cas, pour des questions de compliance, c'est même ces sociétés ont refusé de travailler avec certaines banques de façon spécifique. Dans d'autres cas, il y a eu des retards, des délais de couverture des lignes de crédit qui sont accordées par les banques correspondantes. Et dans certains cas, les banques ont décidé elles-mêmes de limiter le niveau de transfert accordé par jour au niveau de ces sociétés.
Meantime, to address the crisis, economic stakeholders have previously suggested temporary suspension of some product imports, a situation which is said to have been provoked by the CEMAC Zone Central Bank's move to contain the decrease of the current accounts level.
And with more on the activity, we propose to you an excerpt of Michelle Njana Wembo, who is permanent secretary of the CEMAC Financial and Economic Reforms Program, PREF CEMAC.
Currency crisis. The problem is, how do we manage our currency? That is the problem. But that is why I'm saying that the measure that we are proposing, the measure that we are taking into consideration the fact that we don't have normal economies in most of the parts of our region. So we are going to adapt our regulation to the situation. We will have to adapt to the situation. You cannot ask to somebody, fiscal legislation should be adapted. If I'm not making money, I'm closing my shop. You cannot continue to ask me to pay the same way and the same amount. This is what I call adaptation. We are not changing the regulations, but we have to adapt the regulation.
And the indomitable Lions of Cameroon will tomorrow, Saturday, clash with the Super Eagles of Nigeria in the 8th finals of the ongoing African Cup of Nations in Egypt. It should be noted that this is not the first time that the indomitable Lions of Cameroon are clashing with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, even at this stage of the competition. Simanji Kangebe tells us more.
The Alexandria Stadium in Egypt will be the venue where the clash between the Indomitable Lions and Super Eagles will take place. The two sides will be meeting for the 19th time in all competitions. In their previous 18 meetings, Nigeria has the lion's share of victories, 10 in number, against 3 wins for Cameroon and 5 draws. Nigeria has also scored more goals against Cameroon, 26 for the Super Eagles and 16 for Cameroon. In their head-to-head meeting at the African Nations Cup, both sides have met 6 times, with Cameroon getting more wins, 3 against 2 for Nigeria. Unfortunately for Nigeria, all the 3 victories for Cameroon are the finals of the African Showpiece event. In 1984 at Abidjan, Cameroon beat Nigeria 3-2. At the 1988 finals that was played in Casablanca, it was 1 for Cameroon and nothing for Nigeria. And in 2000, when Nigeria co-hosted with Ghana, Cameroon won the finals after post-match penalty shootout 4-3. During regular play time, both teams were at a 2-2 draw.
Nations Cup for Cameroon after an astonishing shootout. Sunday Elise, well, he's player of the tournament, but it doesn't matter. Cameroon win the Cup of Nations. Issa Hayatou hands over the trophy to the man whose penalty won it, Rigobert Song. And Cameroon have won an incredible final on penalty kicks.
Nigeria, however, stopped Cameroon from advancing to the semi-finals of the AFCON when Tunisia hosted in 2004. Nigeria beat Cameroon 2-1 at the quarterfinals level in Monastir. Since those victories, Cameroon has had it difficult with Nigeria, falling in their hands at a friendly played in Brussels in 2015, 3-0, and most recently in 2017 during the qualifiers for the Russia World Cup, Nigeria trashed Cameroon 4-0 at Oyo before playing a 1-1 draw back in Yaoundé.
The flag is flying very high.
To qualify for the knockout stage at the group phase, both countries scored 2 goals. Cameroon had 1 win and 2 of its matches ended in a draw, conceding no goal, while Nigeria recorded 2 victories and a surprise defeat in the hands of Greenhorns Madagascar, while they conceded 2 goals. It will be 6 p.m. in Egypt and 5 p.m. in Dop, Cameroon, when both countries will lock horns.
A record of encounters between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. In more sport news, Cameroon's Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi, today was visiting sites in the nation's economic capital, Douala, to host the African Cup of Nations come 2021. He was evaluating the level of execution of construction works at the Japoma Sports Complex and the Omni Sports Stadium in the Bepanda neighborhood of the city of Douala. Rehabilitation and construction works are at near completion in the 2 sports infrastructures in the city of Douala that will host encounters of the 2021 African Cup of Nations. Minister Narcisse Mwele Kombi was also at the Douala International Airport, one of Cameroon's 2 major air transport facilities. He went there, to see the airport's works and how the readiness of the infrastructure that will equally serve as the entry and exit points for officials, supporters, and players of the African Cup of Nations come 2021. And at the end of the visit, the minister had this to tell EQUINOXE Television. We shall be coming back to an excerpt of the Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Professor Narcisse Mwele Kombi, in subsequent editions of the news on EQUINOXE Television. Meanwhile, it is with that sports element that we will put an end to this primetime newscast on EQUINOXE Television. We thank you for your kind attention. Stay in the company of programs on your #1 TV channel. Have a good evening.